Breaking news, the markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility. A massive sell-off in early trading has triggered circuit breakers across the board. Breaking news, the markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility. A massive sell-off in early trading has triggered circuit breakers across the board. Breaking news, the markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility. A massive sell-off in early trading has triggered circuit breakers across the board. Breaking news, the markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility. A massive sell-off in early trading has triggered circuit breakers across the board. Breaking news, the markets are experiencing unprecedented.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. This is pre-FOMC. As you can see, we have FOMC in a couple hours. I am currently on NASDAQ. The market is opening in the next minute or so. I just want to be live from market open, share it with you, Jane, share my little outlook. And there we go, market has opened. It does seem to be respecting my 1 hour counter trend that we have running over here, as well as staying below my 4 hour resistance, hence the bearish bias and open. Then the market opened quite bearish. As you can see, I'm waiting to take buying opportunities from my support area down here, where my daily 4 hour as well as 1 hour support overlaps, is where I'll look to execute my buying positions. Market just opened. We see beautiful reactions off of our counter trend several times, so it's beautiful to see us still respecting it. As you can see, the market reacting off of not only our 50-day moving average or our 50-day EMA, but also our trend line. Beautiful to see. Market continuing down in a bearish direction towards our point of interest, where you can see our position is laid out. We do have this major key level of 27,000 that the market has pushed now towards, which is, as you can see, an interesting point where we do see some rejection off of. We do have some support over here. However, our higher time frame support is where I'll be looking to execute from. If we don't end up coming towards this area during the session, I will then of course not execute. Patience always pays and discipline is key. However, I just wanted to share my little outlook and go live again. Welcome to everybody in the chat. I see Nick. What's good, Nick? Welcome, my brother. Can't complain in yourself. Just waiting for FOMC to play out. Of course, if we do end up being tapped into this trade prior to FOMC tonight, or this afternoon, rather should I say later on during this New York session, I will then of course look to close or secure my profits prior to FOMC, as I do not trade any red folders and do believe that the news events can/are manipulated by the government. I'd rather stay out, wait for the news event to play out, and then look to re-enter into a position if the confirmations do present themselves and the market does permit me to. Alright. Not too sure what's going on with my webcam, lagging a little bit, apologies for that. I seem to be having a little bit of network issues. However, market's still quite some area or time away from our point of entry, so I'm not too stressed. Would like to see us close below 27,000, this major key level. If we do close below it within this 15-minute candle, still a whole 9 minutes left, almost 10 for this candle to close. We do see that we are currently pushing below. The reason being, if we do close strongly below our 27,000 major key level, of course volume is quite strong. Sellers are in control of the market as we speak. As you can obviously see, we are closing below previous lows, breaking structure clearly to the downside. So yeah, it is pre-FOMC. Usually before a red news or red folder we don't have too much movement, so it was good to see that we had a strong market open. It could indicate that we have quite a big move coming up with FOMC, so it will be quite interesting to see. Once again, I do not trade red folders. I'd rather trade before or after my red folder, and I think this is also due to the prop firms, most of them having that rule 10 minutes prior or 10 minutes after. You're generally not allowed to trade red news folders that impact the market heavily, which makes sense as you don't want people to be gambling on your platform or when they are trading, and be able to prove consistently through different market conditions that they are able to maintain their edge, I suppose, and discipline. So I will be sitting out for most of the day unless my confirmations do get met, as I've mentioned earlier. Other than that, we'll just be playing some music in the background, going over some key levels that I have marked out. And yes, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the stream. I appreciate everyone joining in. Nick, everyone else in the live chat, welcome. I appreciate you guys supporting and joining in. I do go live at least 3 times a week for New York session, trading mainly NASDAQ as well as gold. So for those new viewers who might just be joining in, welcome. Please think of subscribing and liking to get notified every single time I go live, so you don't miss it. And feel free to possibly check out and join the community down below in the description. For those who might be new here, I purely teach price action and discipline, right? I'm not one of those people who just jump into a trade and don't have a session bias or market bias, a reason to why I'm executing a trade, and confirmations that I look for, right? We're breaking down some key levels. We do obviously have 27,000, which is not only a round psychological number, but also a major key level or a round number. You can see the nice reaction we've had off of it after market open. We've pulled towards the 27,000. It was a support area, as or still is, I suppose, as it is below where the market currently is. However, once we are below, that would then turn into a resistance. On the lower time frames, you can see how we've reacted off of this major key level, respecting it quite nicely with those bottom wicks being formed, indicating buyers stepping into the market at this region. And then we've had that strong push to the upside. Of course, we have had 4-hour support over here. We haven't quite fully tapped down strong into the demand zone quite yet. And we did have our higher time frame zones, which is our daily support down here, which is this yellow block indicated or annotated on your screen by the white text boxes. So I just think this is a normal reaction of the market open. I don't really see or have a bias that the market will tend to buy for any crazy region or reason from this level. You can also see that before market open we were consolidating a bit and have now actually broken below that consolidation box or range, which also plays into the bearish favor, right? Just because you see a little wick or rejection being formed or market retracing, it is normal. Don't just have FOMO and jump into a trade immediately for no reason. It is important for you guys to stay disciplined and have confirmations and reasons to why you're entering or looking to enter into a specific trade. Okay, I am also just going to annotate where I see we have a 4-hour resistance over here, which is possible for us to pull into, although I don't think so as of yet, as we still have bearish market structure and we are still below those lows breaking. Remember, you always want to execute off of a closed candle, not a moving candle. It is very important for those who might be watching, whether you're watching live or afterwards watching the replay. It's very important to wait for your candle to close. Don't enter off of moving candles, because although this has a bottom wick, you could very easily flip back down and close with a strong bearish candle body, and then your bullish trade might be invalidated and you're upset, wondering why you are inconsistent, why you're hitting stop loss, why the market makers are hunting you. Meanwhile, you don't have confirmations to why you're entering your trade, you're trading out of session, you're not journaling. All these things add up to being a consistently profitable trader. It's not just as simple as drawing out technicals, staying away from red news folders, right? Those things do help, they are very important, but discipline above all is key, right? And confirmations. So I did see that we did tap a little bit into our 4-hour order block, which is located by this red candle over here. We have not closed though. This 4-hour candle just opened 45 minutes ago, so we still have a whole 3.5 hours. Hence I mentioned that we are possibly able to pull back deeper into not only past our 4-hour support we have, but into our daily support possibly, as well as where our 4-hour, 1-hour supports do overlap. And what I would like to do now is just drop down to the lower time frames and see how they fuel your higher time frames, so you can have an idea of what I mean by bearish market structure, staying below your lows, and then again the lower time frames fueling your higher time frame candles or higher time frame moves. Ultimately, at the moment, we are looking at this support that we've reacted off of to 27,000 major key level after market open, and we are just waiting for the market to give us our confirmations. If we don't get our confirmations, we're not going to enter a trade. Again, it is possible for us to pull into our 4-hour resistance, of which then we would be above our 1-hour counter trend, our highs, and then we could possibly then either pull back down into our support trend line, counter trend, sorry, and continue up, or pull back down deeper into our higher time frame support, which is what I'd ideally prefer, before we then continue towards our target or all-time high. Right, so I'm just going to leave this on the chart. Let the chart do what it does, play out, put some music on in the background, and greet the people active in the chat. For those who might be joining in late or just now for the first time, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so you can join our live chat and be active. Drop a 1 down below if you are bullish, drop a 2 down below in the live chat if you are bearish and subscribed, currently watching. It'll be quite interesting to see what everyone's outlook is on the market watching live. There's major news today, guys, so you really want to be vigilant and not be cocky and over leveraging or over trading. It's important to stay disciplined during these red folder days and only trade or execute once you do have your confirmation. If our setup doesn't come, you stay patient. Right, it is important to not just jump into every little move, and although I do have my bearish bias for the session and the day, not only due to everything I've mentioned, but also if we look on the daily time frame and I zoom in, we can see that yesterday we engulfed April 27th candle, the previous day, Monday. So today I am expecting a continuation down into our support area due to that strong engulfing candle yesterday. It is possible for us to pull back up into that resistance or daily high on the left. However, the trend is your friend, and right now the market is trending downwards, sideways downwards. So you don't want to be trading against neither the short-term or long-term trend. And another little hint or tip I can give you is when different time frames align is when you would want to look to execute your trade.
Want to spice up your listening? Smart Shuffle can weave in song recommendations for your playlist.
Expecting some quite choppy price action after that open. We did move a solid, what was this? It was a solid 90 pip move to the downside, which is quite a nice little pump down. We did then inevitably, after the market open, pull back up to go fill that fair value gap, imbalance, whatever you want to call it. Buyers stepped into the market around this 27,000 major key level, and then sellers ultimately taking control back on the 1 minute time frame, pushing price back down as we retrace into 1 minute support, where buyers then stepped in, currently pushing price up in towards our 50-day moving average, or our 1 minute highs on the left. Alright, so we are seeing two conflicting stories. Although yes, we are closing and breaking below our previous lows over here, which you see now, I am expecting a little retest back up into that area before we can see a continuation to the downside. This is just normal market structure. Again, with time this becomes normal for you guys to notice and see patterns, but I do tend to find that once we have broken, especially strongly below an area of support, it's important to wait for that retest, which is where you could look to enter, or for your confirmations to ensure that the market is going in your favor or in your direction or bias, and then the market continues down or up into your direction. There we get that retest of the previous support on the 5 minute time frame. Let's see if we can hold that and reject now towards our lows and points of interest to the downside, or whether the buyers are still in control and continue pushing price up. Massive wick formed on the 30-minute time frame of our 30-minute support, as well as our 27,000 major key level, which is something to look out for once this 30-minute candle does close, as well as the 1 hour in the next 8 minutes. Of course, the shorter the wick, I would say, the better, and as long as we could stay within our little counter trend channel to the downside towards our points of interest for the next 8 or 9 minutes, I think it would be a good sign that we could possibly continue towards the downside. The 15-minute time frame seems to be forming a little bit of a top wick, as well as the 5 minutes. As we zoom down in closer, we seem to have respected that support turned resistance, which I have marked out, and there is the retest. Let's just wait and see if this 5-minute candle can close below, and then we could possibly get the reversal down towards our point of interest down here at our higher time frame support. Right? For those who might be wondering, the reason I look to execute or take my trades off of the higher time frame zones is because not only for one do we have longer, bigger moves, but I get a lot less fake outs or stop loss hunts or liquidity grabs, whatever you want to call it. Everyone calls it something different, but once you trade off of these higher time frame zones, you find a lot more consistency, confluence, and like I've mentioned, just bigger moves, which allows me to hold the trade for longer and ultimately make more money over a period of time. So off of one higher time frame trade, I might catch the same amount of profit someone does like a scalping trader off of 20 or 30 trades. So I wouldn't call myself a swing trader as of yet. I am a day trader for the most part. I only hold my trades for a couple of hours. However, if we do have an opportunity like on gold, I'm waiting for, go back to my previous gold streams to find out where I'm waiting for gold to go towards, and for us to catch a little swing buy or a higher time frame buying opportunity from, right? Going back to NASDAQ, currently we are still within or just below that support region I've drawn out on the 5-minute time frame. beautiful top wick indicating sellers stepping into the market at this region. We are just waiting for the candle to close within the next 1 minute and 5 seconds now to see if we do get that continuation to the downside. Buyers seem to be stepping into the market here off of our 5-minute support. Can they hold above though is the question. All these little pushes on the lower time frame could just ultimately form a lot longer or bigger top wick for your higher time frame candles, as these little spikes could then end up working against the buyers if the buyers don't hold control over the support region, ultimately causing, once the sellers step in and take control, for a massive strong spike towards the downside. However, you can see the inverse seems to be happening now. After that market open, we've had that spike down, bottom wick, indicating buyers, of course, stepping into the market once we've spiked down so strongly. It's natural, right? The average or the basics of investing or trading 101 would be buy low, sell high. So it is quite normal for the market to see lots of buyers stepping in after that little sell-off with market open. Nick over in the chat saying, wow, strong open. Yes, that was quite a strong market open, but you can see right after we've had that strong market open though, volume died down quite quickly, as of course we have FOMC later on during this New York session. We are seeing quite slow price action or market movement, rather as volume dies down. We are up back into our highs, close to our counter trend line. So let's just see if we can get a nice little rejection of our highs over here on the 15-minute time frame on the left, or whether the bulls take control and end up pushing the market out, pushing through our counter trend as well as our resistance. So let me just annotate over here, we do have a 15-minute resistance. We do seem to be getting quite a nice rejection now on the 5-minute time frame of our 50-day moving average right there, with the second one already engulfing the previous little doji candle or bearish hammer. So we should be good to see a continuation to the downside now towards our point of interest. And we are back. Seem to have sorted out the little cam issue we've had, as well as the connection issue. Market's still just consolidating or ranging to the side really. Do see on the 30-minute time frame that current candle currently engulfing, looking to push down towards our 27,000 major key level, as well as our 15-minute support. So ideally at the moment I would like to see the market close below our 15-minute support for that bearish continuation towards our point of interest. Which is all the way down here where 1 hour, 4 hour and daily supports overlap. That is where I am looking to execute or take my trade off of. So until we get towards where my point of interest is, all the way down here, I'm not really too fussed with what is going on all the way up here at the highs. Again, just because my bias says that the market has to come down doesn't mean it is going to. The market doesn't listen to anyone or care what we feel or what we see. So as traders, back, finally pushing down towards our support region. Let's see if we can get that continuation and closure below our 15-minute support retest, which is the point at where those who might be a little bit more aggressive, if they have the confirmations and it lines up so to do so, look to take your short once we retest off this region towards our point of interest or our higher time frame support. Market moving really slowly, as you can see on the lower time frames, really moving sideways. It's since 12:36, it's now 2 o'clock, just after 2. The last 2 hours we've just really been in a range, haven't really gone anywhere, so we are waiting to see whether we could have that break above or below the range. Currently we have just been really maintaining that sideways momentum or consolidation, which is normal prior to FOMC. However, as I've mentioned earlier, we are looking at the market selling off due to that bearish market structure or bias on the little bit higher time frame, as well as market structure ultimately showing us that the bears are still in control and holding the market below our previous resistance levels, indicating that they are still in control and continue to push price down up until we've found a decent point of support, stabilize out, and then look to reverse up past our highs on the left hand side. There we can see that push down into our minute support zone. We're seeing some really slow price action over here on the Nasdaq chart or the US 100. I'm currently on the 5-minute time frame, just zooming out a little bit so you can see where my point of interest is, as well as where I'll be looking to possibly execute a trade, looking like it's going to be tomorrow's session. As pre-FOMC we've received a nice market open, however after that we've had some quite slow price action, so unless the market decides to reverse anytime soon and start moving to the downside pretty fast, we can just expect the market to stay within our counter trend channel towards our point of interest until, of course, we've seen some sort of a breakout, whether it be above our counter trend to the upside or to our support on the higher time frame and points of interest, which I am expecting to. It is quite possible for FOMC, the market push a little bit up now prior to FOMC, and then when FOMC comes out, we could then possibly react off of our higher time frame resistance. Example being our 4-hour resistance we have up here on the 4-hour time frame, as well as all the way up here. That is quite a big jump, so I'm not marking it out. I'm only marking out the zones closest to me, as those are the zones that the market has to react off first, right? So unless we get a sort of break below our support region in the next little 45 minutes to an hour, I would say, the market is then expected to just gradually climb up towards our 4-hour resistance marked out in the purple zone over there. However, we've not had a break above the highs on the 5 or 15 minute really, so I'm not going to worry about our 4-hour resistance as of yet. We have seen a little bit of a reversal once we've pushed back up on the lower time frame. However, we are back up into a 1-minute resistance, which is where sellers could possibly look to step into the market, as well as over here, not too far away, about 14 pips away, we do have another 1-minute as well as 5-minute resistance, or the highs, and our 50-day moving average, which, as you can see, we have been rejecting off of quite a bit, and then we have that sharp move down shortly after. Boom, boom, boom. So yes, as you can see, we are starting to pull back down towards our support area. As I drop down onto the 1-minute time frame, you can see we are rejecting off of our highs. Let's see if we can pull back down below our resistance and continue that bearish momentum towards our point of interest on the higher time frame. And we do see that new 1-hour candle seeming to want to flip. Not yet though, still a whole 43 minutes left before this 1-hour candle closes. We do see buyers have stepped in with these top wicks that are indicated via the candlestick's body or stature, should I say. So it's important to be very vigilant and not just jump into the market. We could be caught with a fake out to either side, as we are quite neutral, just moving sideways, consolidating, or moving within our channel or range, really, right? So be very careful on entering trades on the breakout. Don't FOMO into anything and just be patient, guys. There's nothing wrong with only executing after FOMC as well. You would tend to catch quite a similar size move to news or the red folder. I find if you just are patient and wait for the market to react off a resistance or support zone after the news has played out. As we get to a level now where the candlesticks on the lower time frame are playing off our 50-day moving average, we can expect to see some sort of a pump or dump either to the upside or the downside, depending on where the buyers or sellers do push the market. I am liking this bottom wick as sort of an imbalance level for the current 15-minute candle in the next 9 minutes to sort of go in full. I would like to see a strong push and then ideally a closure below this trend line over here, as we would then have an engulfing candle on the 15-minute time frame, which is a bearish confluence or signal, and indicates that a lot of sellers have stepped into the market from this region and have taken control, pushing the price down slowly towards our points of interest mentioned earlier on in the stream. So let's see if we can get this 15-minute candle to push down to our bottom wick, or whether it will just continue pumping up towards our 15-minute resistance on the left. There we see that push up towards our 15-minute resistance. Let's see if we can have a rejection and then continue down towards our points of interest or higher time frame support. Cheers in the chat with the slow price action. Indeed, we are having quite slow price action today. However, it is expected as it's pre-FOMC, so there we did get the tap of our 15-minute resistance. As you can see, as I drop down to the lower time frame, we are within our resistance now. Let's see what happens and if we do get a rejection to the downside or if the market will just continue pumping. We have officially tapped our trend line or counter trend from the 1 hour counter trend line as well. So it would be quite nice to see a flip of this 5-minute candle that's currently bullish with the top wick into a bearish candle with it closing, and then possibly the next candle then also just going up to tap the top of the trend line and ultimately engulfing to form our rejection to the downside. Let's see whether that ends up happening though, as the volume does seem to be quite strong to the upside here. Still 3 minutes and 20 seconds left for this 5-minute candle to close. So still quite some time for us to get a rejection to the downside here. There's the flip. Yes, well, we have flipped bearish. We haven't closed bearish though. Still 2.5 minutes left, so let's just be patient. I am expecting a bit of a doji candle, the small body, and then the next candle to either engulf it to the upside or ideally in a perfect world downside, to continue with our bias, right? as you can see on the 1 minute time frame, we've had that 2 wicks reject off of it, the third one pulling back down and then ultimately pushing back up above our counter trend or our 1 hour counter trend line, as you can see. And then the following candle did come reject off of our trend line and is currently shooting up into what can only be our 4 hour resistance, which is close by. Let's just make that purple. We are back up above our counter trend, as you can see that we've been playing off of on the left. So I am expecting a continuation up into our 4 hour resistance, which is where we can expect quite a decent size move from, whether it now be a continuation to the upside or a retrace back down towards our higher time frame areas of support, which I am expecting and have marked out as my points of interest. Right, again, I'm not looking to take a position in the middle of nowhere. If we are just moving sideways or consolidating in a range, I'm looking to catch moves either from our low or our high, so I can maximize the profits or the gain I make from that move. Right, I don't want to be catching multiple small moves. I'd rather just catch 1 or 2 bigger moves. That 1 hour time frame does seem to be forming quite a nice top wick of not only our counter trend as well as our 50-day moving average, which is this blue line. Of course, if we are below, we can expect a continuation to the downside, and if we are above, we can expect a continuation to the upside. We are currently playing off of that level where the 50-day moving average as well as the counter trend seems to be overlapping. However, buyers do seem to be in control, currently pushing the price back up past our counter trend as well as our resistance. So it's all about being patient and seeing if we can get a nice reaction off of our 4 hour zone now. Hopefully it is in our direction. If not, it's not the end of the world. I believe all of the streams I've had on the channel so far has gone in my direction or bias so far, so it won't be the end of the world if I am wrong for today's bias. Again, it's not like I have executed a trade or lost anything due to having the wrong bias. I am not planning to trade if we don't get that confirmation before FOMC. And with this type of price action, I'm not expecting to get one even after, unless we do have quite a big size move with FOMC. Anything is possible. We could have a nice dump down in towards our support area, or we could push back up past all-time highs towards 28,000, which would be the next target once we have crossed all-time highs, as that is the next major key level, psychological round number as well. So that is the next level I'll be looking at, is 28,000 if we do end up closing above our all-time high. Guys, we are approaching that 4-hour resistance. Let's see, can we have that closure below after the rejection? We have tapped it on the lower time frames. Two minutes and 30 seconds left for this 5-minute candle within our 4-hour resistance. Do seem to be forming some little bit of a top wick. Can we maintain that and reverse back down below our 4-hour resistance? Let's see. There we see that rejection as that top wick seems to be growing longer and longer. I'm going to drop down to the 1 minute time frame. As you can see, we are currently engulfing the previous candlestick. So if we do end up closing below this purple zone, I can expect, or do expect rather, a faster move down, indicating the rejection of our higher time frame zone. "33 seconds to go for this 5 minute candle. Can we stay within our resistance zone?" We do see that the 1 minute time frame, some buyers seem to be stepping in off of the support area as we see the candlestick or the market slightly push up. Can we reject now and stay below? Let us wait and see. Sellers seem to be stepping into the market now as we see some rejection off of our 4-hour resistance as expected. After this 5 minute candlestick closes, we can then expect a stronger move down. "15 seconds for this candle to close. If we can close below this zone as mentioned before, I do definitely expect a faster move towards the downside or a pullback / rejection off of our 4-hour resistance zone. Because that simply does what it says it does, right? It's a resistance zone, so the market struggles to break through here. You should see it like a roof. And if we struggle to break above it once the candlestick has closed, with the top wick, it indicates that sellers have stepped into the market and volume is not strong enough, or the buyers are rather not strong enough to continue pushing the market up towards the next high, and rather we are experiencing a form of rejection off of our resistance area or highs on the left, and can expect a natural pullback down towards our support areas. If we then close below them, we can expect the next support areas to be the next area or point of interest. So our previous candle did end up closing bullish actually, however within our 4-hour resistance still, with closing bullish those last couple of seconds, we've naturally had the next candle open bullish. However, I love the fact that just right after we've opened now bullish, we've pushed up on the open and then immediately pushed back down as sellers step into the market. I would love to see the current 5-minute candle engulf the previous one, and that would occur once this 5-minute candle closes below the white line indicated or annotated on your screen. Again, an engulfing candle is a signal or a sign of a continuation or a movement that is about to occur. At least due to this being a smaller time frame, it won't be major, but then again we are rejecting off of a higher time frame zone. So as I've mentioned, once we do get below our purple zone, if that does happen, we can expect market to start moving quite a lot faster as more and more retail traders step into that breakout trade and try force quick profits. There we go, market seems to be pushing down quite nicely below our previous 5-minute candlestick's body. Again, it is important whether you close below the body or the wick. In this case scenario, the body is what we are looking at. Quite nice volume seems to be coming in now off this 4-hour zone, and you should see it continue. Wow, look at that nice pop into our 1-minute support, and it should just continue now if we do end up closing below our purple zone as mentioned earlier, as those retail traders step more into the market trying to force their profits with this selling position of our higher time frame zone. Again, I'm not in this trade, however I did mention that I am expecting a rejection of our 4-hour resistance prior to FOMC, which has now occurred. I would love to see the market continue down now towards our higher time frame support and away from our 4-hour resistance, so that we can possibly look at stepping into the market or executing a possible trade later this evening. The next 1-hour candlestick opening in 12 minutes. Alright, we can expect a decent sized move with the new 1-hour candlestick opening, as it's quite a nice time frame in between your scalping and swinging time frames. It's in the middle. Would love to see a closure below our 4-hour resistance on the 1-hour time frame, of course, as that would increase our top wick as well as our probability of the market continuing in our favor, mentioned all stream along. We are seeming to have an engulfing candle as mentioned or expected. Grateful for the skill. Again, I did say I wanted to close below this level. Once this 5-minute candlestick does close, we have 11 seconds left on the clock. Let's just hope we don't get a strong reversal now with the last 2 seconds. We should be good though. There we go, officially closed engulfing, which is a good sign that we are rejecting off of our higher time frame zone. I am expecting a little pop back up into our 4-hour zone now to form that top wick. It does seem we do already have a top wick, so we don't really need to. I just find that Nasdaq loves to retest that 4-hour zone or the higher time frame zone, or just the resistance zones and support zones in general, before it then continues, which is why I always mention to wait for your confirmation. There we do get the retest and the little bit longer top wick being formed, as I've just said. Now I would like to see a continuation to the downside. There we get what seems to be a nice top wick rejection, not only off of our high on the left, but of course our purple resistance zone, or ultimately for our supply zone if you want to be specific. 1 minute and 7 seconds left for this candlestick to close. I would love for it to close below our 4-hour zone to indicate that bearish pressure coming in from our higher time frame resistance. However, if we don't get it, it's not the end of the world, as we have not executed or entered a trade. On the lower time frame though, we are seeing a little bit of bullish market structure, as we are on that resistance of what seems to be a bullish flag candlestick pattern, which looks a little bit like this. With that breakout, then could then possibly get a retest of our higher time frame zone with your big push. We are not above this counter trend yet. My words are cold, and then we are above, but that is something that could also possibly play out if we don't respect this resistance zone. Hold on tight though, as the candlestick has just closed, seeming to be respecting that resistance. Let's see if we can get a continuation now. I don't like the fact that this 15-minute time frame has a bottom wick too much. However, only 4 minutes and 40 seconds left for this 15-minute candlestick. So if we can just hold on tight enough within the next 4 minutes and close within even our 4-hour resistance on the 15-minute time frame, our following 15-minute candlestick would then ideally engulf this one to the downside, filling the bottom candlestick wick and continuing the rejection. Sellers definitely stepping into the market, which is very prevalent due to the top wicks as well as the bearish candlesticks being formed within this 4-hour rejection or resistance zone. And then of course on the higher time frames, once we pull back down, it does form our top wicks. For those who might not be aware or watching, whether it be replay or live, just wanting to know a little bit more about trading maybe. Oh, what a song. Timeless classic. All seeming what seems to be moving sideways now, forming a little bit of support on our resistance zone, which is not what I would like to see, as this indicates that buyers are stepping into the market as well, fighting the bears within our resistance zone. And if these buyers do end up taking control, we could of course see the market then continuing to the upside, which is against our buyers, I suppose, or what we would like to see. However, on the 1 minute time frame, moving down now, we do see sellers aggressively pushing the price down within our purple 4-hour resistance zone, which is lovely. Hopefully we can continue doing so and holding control of the market, pushing price ultimately back down to our higher time frame support areas. Beautiful top wick on the 1 minute time frame. Sellers seem to be fighting with the buyers over here quite strongly, which makes sense. It is a resistance zone. Let's see who comes out on top and whether my bias was right and we do get that rejection to the downside, or whether I was wrong and the market continues pumping up before our FOMC news in 3 hours time, 3 hours and 1 minute to be exact. The new 1 hour candlestick is also just opened, so let's see what does unfold here. I'm expecting a bit of volume to come into the market with this new 1 hour candle opening. I would love to see it hit the top region of the previous 15-minute candle's wick and then flip back down, bearish, filling the bottom side, engulfing it ultimately as I've mentioned, and closing below it, spotty over there. I'm going to just leave this horizontal line on the chart so we can see if we do end up getting an engulfing candle to the downside once this moving 15-minute candle has closed. Seems to be quite an early flip there. However, on the 5-minute time frame, as I drop down, I just want to identify that we have had equal highs over here, which is a bearish signal, sign, confirmation, whatever you want to call it, which which is simply just the market rejecting off the exact same or similar point within the market and ultimately rejecting it to the downside, with us now pushing strongly below our 4-hour resistance. Beautifully, just as expected. Let's just wait and see if we can close below there on the 30-minute as well as 15-minute and 5-minute time frame to give us that engulfing candle. Beautiful rejection of our higher time frame resistance there. I'd love to see a continuation now with this 15-minute candle. We have pushed down towards that wick I have mentioned just a couple minutes ago. I'd love to see a continuation below that. Poof, there we get it. And ultimately a closure below this trend line as well as our 50-day moving average would be nice, as that would then indicate to me that it's not just a regular pullback for us to continue pumping with this bullish market structure, as we have ultimately broken close above these highs on the left, but rather pulling back down, continuing with that bearish market structure, fueling the higher time frames, wicks, and ultimately showing that the sellers have stepped in of our 4-hour resistance and pushed price back down into our higher time frame support. We are starting to see a beautiful rejection of that 4-hour resistance as we were expecting. I'd love to see a strong continuation below this counter trend as well as the 50-day moving average as expected or mentioned earlier, back down into our 1-hour support here as well as below our counter trend, which is very important, right? Because that could be acting as a form of support now, as we have closed above it on the lower time frames as well as actually on the 1-hour. So I wouldn't want to see a bottom wick or a rejection of this area or this 1-hour order block. So this is the 1-hour order block. I of course want to see a closure ideally within or below the zone. Right, I don't want to see that bottom wick. I want to see us close down into the zone.
Download and break music.
Again, you can see the accuracy of the trend lines with the wicks being formed. I think this is just a testament to the pride I take not only within my work but my analysis overall. In everything I do, I try to do it correctly and to the best of my ability as possible. I think it is key to do that. There we seem to be getting that push below our counter trend as well as our trend line, 50-day moving average, which I mentioned earlier I would like to see. So it is great to see that we do have that strong closure below and that volume kicking in. This indicates that sellers are very dominant within the market right now, and that we can definitely expect a continuation back down towards the 27,000 region, which is our 1-hour support, right over here. I would like to see a pop back up into this trend line and then a little rejection off of it on the 1-minute time frame with a top wick. This will be quite nice. And again, we'll just emphasize the bearish market structure which we are looking for in order to see that continuation down towards our point of interest. 23 seconds left for this 1-minute candle. It does not seem like we could get that pop all the way back up onto our trend line. However, we did get a little bit of a top wick and then a little pop down. Back into the channel we go, which is what we like to see. You see the beautiful price action and rejection of our 4-hour resistance with what seems to be a continuation down towards our support just from our resistance zone. We have already moved 66 pips, which is quite nice. Nick in the chat, I see you. Welcome. Thank you for sticking by. On the 15-minute time frame now, it would be lovely if we can get that pop up and rejection of the trend line with the continuation then, as that is also overlapping with our 50-day moving average, and will just show us that we are respecting this counter channel or trend, and it should be continuing within it and ultimately diagonally down. We do seem to be getting that pop we were waiting for onto our trend line. We are above it though now, as well as our 50-day moving average. So let's see if we can get that rejection back down. Now we're ultimately forming the bottom wick on the 1 hour, which is not what I want to see, of course. However, I think this is just a little temporary pullback. Let's see if I'm right though. A little bit of a top wick coming in there finally with the last 1 minute remaining on this 5-minute candle. Could this be exactly as I've mentioned to the T, rejecting off our trend line as well as our blue 50-day moving average, and could be forming a lovely top wick for that flip down below into our channel. choppy price action. Quite slow, to be fair. We did have that 70 pip push from our resistance, but then, you know, once we've tapped our counter trend, 1 hour counter trend line to be specific or exact, we have now again seen a bit of a consolidation or move to the side. So, I mean, just be patient, you guys. It is FOMC day. Of course, FOMC within the next 2 hours and 49 minutes. Once FOMC hits, of course, we can expect a massive move, whether it be to the upside or downside, I can't tell you. That would all depend on how the numbers look and how they come out compared to the forecast. So just patiently sitting tight and waiting for FOMC to play out. After FOMC though, there would only be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours left of market before the market then closes for the day, and it would then ultimately be Thursday's New York session. We would look to execute our next trade in if we don't get confirmation, and that would also be quite late within New York session, so volume is expected to be low, and if we do get triggered and my alerts do go off, I of course will set alerts. Let me do that now. If that does go off after FOMC, I will then look to live stream as I execute my next trade live with you guys and see what happens, whether the market ends up continuing in my direction like it has been since I started streaming now on YouTube live. I can't fake a live stream. Ladies and gents from all over the world can see that it is possible to read price action and the market live consistently and making money off of it. Of course, my results I do post over on my Instagram, that is _.alex_.b, and my students' results as well. We've had 1 or 2 students on several prop firms leaderboards recently, so that's quite nice to see everyone else doing good as well, not just me, right? Did see a bit of a rejection of our trend line, again just a testament to how accurate it is once we have bounced off of that, as well as the 50-day EMA. As buyers stepped in, we are seeming to find a bit of rejection now again of our 50-day moving average on the 1 minute time frame, which is nice to see. I would love to see a continuation down towards our support region now over here on the left. Really choppy price action, guys. I mean, let's go on the 1 hour time frame.
Explore new ways to tune into your music with Spotify Premium.
Over here, since 11 o'clock last night, actually since April 26th, we haven't really moved much. That's 3 days that we've just been consolidating or moving sideways. So, yeah, I mean, not much to it. I think if we are just going to continue consolidating here and we don't see a rejection within the next couple of minutes, I will then look to cut the stream. There's no point of sitting here if we are just moving sideways. I'm just wasting not only my time but the viewers' time, which is very precious. It's one of the few things in this world we cannot get back. So ultimately we are doing this for freedom. If there's no point on being on the chart, if you're moving sideways, I'd rather step away and do something else that's productive. So yeah, just give it a minute or two more. If we don't get a rejection to the downside, I will then look to end the stream, guys. I truly appreciate each and every single one of you joining in, whether you join in live or whether you are watching afterwards the replay. I truly appreciate you guys. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I've only done a couple streams. We are looking to reach that 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, to continue streaming on YouTube. I mean, there's no point in continuing if it's not something you guys would like to watch. And of course, I love sharing the skill and what I do, and showing you guys transparently how I make money and read the charts live. As of course there has been quite a few gurus and frauds out here, and I think one of the ways I could stand out and prove to you guys that I'm not just your average guru or person online who posts about trading, but I'm rather trading live, showcasing my skill and showing to you that it is possible and not a scam or a fraud that a lot of these guys make it out to be, just because they purely are. On that note, as I'm flicking through the different time frames, we don't seem to be doing or showing much, so I am going to call that the end of today's stream pre-FOMC. I truly appreciate you guys joining in once again and supporting the channel. Ensure to drop a like down below, comment of what more you'd like to see, or if you'd like to watch other charts or me reviewing people's trades or any video ideas you guys might have, feel free to drop it down below. For those who are watching live or even in the replay afterwards, please remember to subscribe, as once you are subscribed for simply 60 seconds, you are able to join in to our live chat and communicate with me live and let me know what not only you're looking at, but you're looking forward to, what your opinions might be. And I look forward to getting to know a lot more of my viewers worldwide. On that note, I'm going to call it. Hope everyone has a blessed, profitable rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.